Into the void. The stars looked different from here. Commander Maya Chen stood at the viewport of the EDS Defiant, Earth's first deep space exploration vessel. The pinpricks of light surrounding her were unfamiliar constellations, patterns that no human eye had ever witnessed before. Mankind had finally broken free of its solar system, venturing into the vast unknown. Beautiful, isn't it? Lieutenant Raj Patel appeared at her side, his dark eyes reflecting the starlight. It is, Maya agreed, allowing herself a brief moment of wonder. Though I can't shake the feeling we're being watched. Raj laughed. That's just exploration jitters. We've scanned this sector a dozen times. Nothing but empty space for light years. Maya nodded but couldn't dismiss her unease. The Defiant represented humanity's greatest achievement, a ship capable of faster-than-light travel. After decades of theoretical work, Earth's scientists had finally cracked the gravitational equations that made interstellar travel possible. The Defiant wasn't a warship. It carried Earth's brightest scientists, diplomats, and a small security detail. Their mission was simple: explore, learn, and potentially make peaceful contact with other intelligent life. Commander, the voice of Specialist Zhang broke through the ship's comm system. We're detecting an anomaly at coordinates 227 Mark 48. Define anomaly, Maya replied, already moving toward the bridge. Unknown energy signature. Nothing like we've seen before. It's growing. By the time Maya reached the bridge, the situation had changed dramatically. The main view screen showed a section of space that seemed to ripple, as though reality itself was being stretched. Status report, she ordered, sliding into the command chair. Energy readings off the scale, Zhang reported, her fingers flying across her console. Whatever it is, it's getting bigger. The ripple expanded, tearing open like a wound in space. Through this impossible rift glided a vessel that defied human comprehension. It was massive, easily 20 times the size of the Defiant, shaped like a great manta ray with sweeping wings and a gleaming silver hull that seemed to shift colors as it moved. Battle stations, Maya ordered, her voice steady despite the adrenaline surging through her system. Commander, we're being scanned, said Communications Officer Dawson. Extremely powerful signals. They're cutting through our systems like they're not even there. Raise shields. Attempt to establish communication on all frequencies. Standard first contact protocols. The alien vessel hung motionless before them, impossibly graceful despite its enormous size. Minutes passed in tense silence as the Defiant's crew awaited a response. They're responding, Dawson finally announced. Visual and audio. The view screen shifted to reveal a being that sent a collective gasp through the bridge. The alien had a vaguely humanoid shape, but its skin was a mosaic of shifting blue and green scales. 6 eyes arranged in a hexagonal pattern dominated its face, and when it spoke, a mouth filled with crystalline teeth appeared. I am High Executor Vazin of the Astral Confederacy. The translator interpreted the alien's melodic tones. Identify yourselves, intruders. Maya stepped forward. I am Commander Maya Chen of the Earth Defense Force vessel Defiant. We come from the planet Earth on a mission of peaceful exploration. We mean no harm and seek only to learn about our galactic neighbors. The 6 eyes blinked in what Maya interpreted as surprise or possibly amusement. Earth, Vazin repeated. Your species has only just achieved rudimentary space travel, yet you venture so far from your home. Interesting. And foolish. Maya kept her expression neutral. We've developed faster-than-light technology independently. Our journey here represents a primitive understanding of spatial mechanics. Vazin interrupted. Your vessel's propulsion system is crude, inefficient. The energy signature you leave behind is embarrassingly obvious. A murmur of indignation rippled through the bridge crew. Maya raised a hand to silence them. Perhaps we could share knowledge, she suggested. What is the Astral Confederacy? Are there many species in your alliance? Vazin's crystalline teeth glinted. The Confederacy has stood for 12,000 cycles. unifying 17 advanced species across 3 spiral arms of this galaxy. We bring order, stability, and progress. Concepts your kind is clearly unfamiliar with. The condescension in Vazen's tone was unmistakable, but Maya maintained her diplomatic approach. Earth would be honored to learn from the Confederacy's wisdom. Perhaps we could arrange a formal diplomatic meeting. Perhaps, Vazen replied, though his tone suggested otherwise. We will need to assess your species' potential value to the Confederacy. Primitive as you are, you might serve some purpose. Maya's spine stiffened at the implication. With respect, High Executor, Earth seeks friendship as equals, not servitude. A sound emerged from Vazen that the translator couldn't process, something between a laugh and a hiss. Equality must be earned, Commander. The galaxy functions on a natural hierarchy. Advanced species lead, lesser ones follow. This is the way of things. Vazen leaned closer to whatever visual sensor he was using. I suggest you prepare your leaders to receive a Confederacy delegation. We will determine your place in the Galactic Order. The transmission ended abruptly, leaving the bridge in stunned silence. Charming fellow, Raj muttered. Specialist Zhang, what's the status of the alien vessel? Maya asked. Still positioned off our bow, Commander. They're maintaining some kind of energy field around their ship. Our sensors can't penetrate it. Maya's intuition, the same feeling that had saved her life during the Antarctic resource wars, was screaming danger. Lieutenant Patel, prepare for immediate departure. Plot a course back to Earth. Maximum speed. Running away, Commander, Raj asked quietly. Making a strategic withdrawal, Maya corrected. Something feels wrong. I want to get this information back to Earth Command immediately. As the crew prepared for departure, 3 smaller vessels detached from the Confederacy ship, approaching the Defiant with alarming speed. Commander, we're being targeted, Zhang shouted. Energy weapons charging. Evasive maneuvers, Maya ordered. Defensive systems online. They're hailing us again, Dawson reported. Vazen's image reappeared on screen. Your vessel's technology has been analyzed and found to contain unexpected innovations. The Confederacy cannot allow such potential threats to develop unchecked. You will surrender your ship and all technical data immediately. Maya stood tall. We are on a peaceful mission, High Executor. Any aggressive action against this vessel will be considered an act of war against Earth. War. Vazen's 6 eyes blinked in sequence. Your species cannot comprehend the meaning of that word when applied to the Confederacy. This is merely pest control. The transmission cut off as the first energy blast struck the Defiant's shields. The ship shuddered violently, throwing crew members against consoles. Shields at 40%, Zhang reported. 1 hit. They shouldn't be that powerful. Return fire, Maya ordered. All available weapons. The Defiant's defensive armaments were minimal, designed for asteroid deflection rather than combat. The energy beams that lanced out toward the attacking vessels seemed to dissipate harmlessly against their hulls. Another blast rocked the ship. Consoles exploded in showers of sparks, and the lighting flickered to emergency red. Shields failing. Hull breaches on decks 3 and 4. Engineering reports critical damage to the FTL drive. Maya steadied herself against her chair. Emergency protocols. All non-essential personnel to escape pods. The escape pods won't make it past their weapons, Raj argued. No, but the distress beacon might. Maya turned to communications. Officer Dawson, prepare a data package with everything we've recorded. Full sensor logs, visual records, all communications. Attach it to our emergency beacon and set it to continuous broadcast on all Earth Defense Force frequencies. As Dawson worked frantically, Maya addressed the remaining bridge crew. This isn't a battle we can win. Our priority now is getting this information back to Earth. They need to know what's out here. The ship rocked again, more violently this time. Support beams crashed from the ceiling, crushing a console, and the officer operating it. Beacon ready, Dawson shouted over the chaos. Launch it now. The small, nondescript beacon ejected from the Defiant, immediately accelerating to light speed on a direct course for Earth. Its size and simple design rendered it nearly invisible to the attacking ship's sensors. "They're preparing another volley," John reported, blood trickling from a cut on her forehead. "This one's targeted at our reactor core." Maya looked around at her crew, scientists and explorers who had volunteered for this historic mission. None of them had expected this outcome, but not one showed fear in the face of it. "It's been an honor serving with you all," she said quietly. The final blast tore through the Defiant's already compromised shields, striking the antimatter containment field around the reactor. For a brief moment, the ship glowed with impossible brightness as atoms of matter and antimatter violently annihilated each other. Then, in a silent flash that briefly outshone the distant stars, the EDS Defiant and her crew were gone. High Executor Vezin watched the human vessel's destruction from his command chamber. The primitive ship had been obliterated with embarrassing ease, yet something about the encounter troubled him. "High Executor," his second approached, bowing deeply. "The human ship has been eliminated as ordered." "What of their emergency beacon?" Vezin asked. "Our sensors detected nothing, High Executor." Vezin's 6 eyes narrowed. He had studied countless species over his long life, and humans were not the first to challenge the Confederacy's dominance. But there had been something in the human commander's eyes, a resolve, a defiance, that he found unsettling. "Prepare a report for the Confederacy Council," he ordered. "Recommend immediate investigation of the human homeworld. Their technology, while crude, shows concerning innovation. Their species requires evaluation." As his subordinate departed, Vezin stared at the fading debris field that had once been the human ship. A mild irritation he couldn't identify lingered in his consciousness. Perhaps it was the humans' presumption of equality, their refusal to accept their natural place in the hierarchy. A primitive species, he murmured to himself. Nothing more. 3 years passed. On Earth, the beacon from the Defiant had arrived, carrying the final moments of humanity's first deep space mission. The world had mourned, then united in a way never before seen in human history. Old rivalries were set aside, resources pooled, and a single-minded focus emerged: survival. In the great shipyards hidden beneath the surface of Mars, humanity had been preparing. The lessons learned from the Defiant's destruction had been studied, analyzed, and improved upon. The technology salvaged from debris of alien scout ships that had ventured too close to the solar system provided crucial insights. Earth had been silent for 3 years. No transmissions were sent into deep space. No ships ventured beyond the asteroid belt. To any observing eyes, it appeared that humanity had retreated in fear, content to hide within the confines of their small system. The Astral Confederacy had interpreted this silence as submission. Their annexation fleet, 27 massive vessels carrying troops and administrative personnel, approached Earth with confidence bordering on arrogance. They expected a primitive civilization cowering in terror, ready to accept their place in the Confederacy's carefully ordered hierarchy. They were about to learn how deeply they had misunderstood humanity. Reckoning. Supreme Commander Calyx of the Astral Confederacy stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Immutable Order, surveying the blue-green planet before him. Earth looked small, fragile, and utterly insignificant from this distance. "Status report," he demanded, his 6 eyes never leaving the view screen. Sub-Commander Terrace approached with practiced deference. "The annexation fleet is in position." "Supreme Commander, all 27 vessels report ready. The planetary defense scan is complete." "And?" Calyx prompted impatiently. "Minimal defenses, as expected. They have established some orbital platforms and a small fleet of sublight vessels, nothing that poses any threat to our forces. Their planetary communications show increased activity, but no significant military preparations. It appears they have accepted their fate." Calyx's scaled skin shifted colors slightly, a sign of satisfaction among his species. 3 years ago, they lost their only significant vessel. 3 years to contemplate their position in the universe. It seems they have chosen wisely. Shall I initiate contact, Supreme Commander? Yes. Inform their leaders that representatives of the Confederacy will arrive to establish the terms of their protectorate status. We will be generous if they cooperate. Terrace bowed and retreated to relay the orders. Calyx continued to study the planet, mentally calculating the resources that could be extracted, the potential uses for the human population. Their technological innovations, while primitive, showed promise. Under proper guidance, humans might serve the Confederacy well. Supreme Commander, Terrace's voice carried an unusual note of concern. The humans are responding. Display it, Calyx ordered. The view screen shifted to show a human female with dark skin and close-cropped silver hair. Her uniform was simple but elegant, bearing unfamiliar insignia. "This is Admiral Amara Washington of the Earth Defense Force," she began, her voice steady and commanding. "We received your message." Calyx stepped forward. "Admiral Washington, I am Supreme Commander Calyx of the Astral Confederacy. We have come to formalize Earth's inclusion in our alliance. Your cooperation will ensure a smooth transition to protectorate status." Washington's expression remained impassive. "The people of Earth have considered your proposal, Supreme Commander. We must respectfully decline." A murmur of surprise rippled through the bridge crew. Calyx's scales darkened with irritation. "Perhaps I failed to make myself clear, Admiral. This is not a negotiation. The Confederacy has determined that Earth will become a protectorate. Resistance is inadvisable. We understand the implications of our decision," Washington replied. "Earth will not surrender its autonomy. We seek relations with galactic civilizations as equals, not subordinates." Calyx's patience evaporated. These primitives needed a demonstration of power. "Your species' arrogance is remarkable given your technological inferiority. Perhaps you require a demonstration of the consequences of defiance." He turned to his tactical officer. "Target one of their orbital platforms. Low yield, but enough to make our position clear." "Yes, Supreme Commander." On the view screen, Admiral Washington seemed strangely unconcerned. "Before you take any aggressive action, Supreme Commander, I believe it's only fair to inform you that humanity has not been idle these past 3 years." Calyx dismissed her words with a gesture. "Your primitive defenses can it." "Supreme Commander." The sensor officer interrupted, panic evident in his voice. "Something is happening." The space behind Earth's moon, hidden from the Confederacy fleet's initial scans, suddenly erupted with activity. A massive gravitational distortion rippled outward, causing sensor alarms to blare across the bridge. "What is that?" Calyx demanded. The question answered itself as a vessel emerged from behind the lunar body. The ship was unlike anything in Confederacy records, a sleek obsidian behemoth that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. Along its hull, lines of blue energy pulsed like heartbeats. It was massive, nearly twice the size of the immutable order. "Identify that vessel," Calyx ordered. "Unknown configuration," reported the sensor officer. "It's not matching any known designs. Energy readings are impossible. They're off our measurement scales." The human admiral's voice cut through the confusion. "Supreme Commander Calyx, allow me to introduce the EDS Reckoning, the flagship of Earth's defense fleet." "One ship." Calyx recovered his composure with effort. "You think a single vessel, no matter its size, can stand against 27 Confederacy warships?" Washington smiled for the first time. "We were hoping you'd think that." Across the bridge of the immutable order, systems began to fail. Weapons controls locked, engines shut down, communications cut out. The same pattern repeated throughout the Confederacy fleet as their ships suddenly found themselves paralyzed. "What's happening?" Calyx demanded. "Some kind of remote system override," the frantic tactical officer reported. "They've penetrated our security protocols. They're in our systems." On the view screen, Washington's expression remained calm. During the past 3 years, we've studied the debris from your scout ships. Your cybersecurity is impressive for a civilization that hasn't faced a serious threat in millennia. Human history, however, is defined by conflict. We've been hacking each other's systems since the dawn of our digital age. Calyx felt something he hadn't experienced in centuries. Fear. Restore control, he ordered. Emergency protocols. Working on it. His officers responded, their movements increasingly desperate. The massive human ship began to move, not toward the Confederacy fleet, but into a position between Earth and the alien vessels. It was a defensive stance, not offensive, yet somehow more intimidating for that restraint. Supreme Commander, Washington continued, humanity has no desire for war. But make no mistake, we are prepared for it. The Reckoning carries weapons specifically designed to counter Confederacy technology. Your fleet is currently disabled, but intact. We could change that with a single command. As if to emphasize her point, weapons ports opened along the length of the Reckoning, revealing systems that glowed with barely contained energy. You should know that the Reckoning is merely one of several such vessels we've constructed. The others are positioned throughout our solar system, hidden but ready. It was impossible to tell if she was bluffing. We've also established automated defense platforms throughout our system. Any attack on Earth will trigger an immediate and overwhelming response. Calyx's mind raced through possibilities. Could the humans truly have advanced so quickly? It should have been impossible, and yet the evidence was before him. Perhaps, he said carefully, there has been a misunderstanding. The Confederacy seeks peaceful relations with all species. As does Earth, Washington replied. But peace must be founded on mutual respect. We propose a different arrangement. Diplomatic recognition between our civilizations as sovereign equals. The silence on the bridge was absolute as Calyx weighed his options. The human ship had disabled his entire fleet without firing a shot. Whether they could actually destroy it remained to be seen. But the risk was unacceptable. I will convey your proposal to the Confederacy Council, he finally said. Washington nodded. We'll restore control to your fleet as a gesture of good faith. But be aware that we can disable your systems again if necessary. As promised, the Confederacy vessels began to regain function. Weapons remained offline, but navigation and communication systems returned to normal. As a further demonstration of our peaceful intentions, Washington continued, we invite a small delegation from your fleet to visit Earth. See for yourselves who we are before you decide whether we're worth knowing or fighting. The invitation was both gracious and clever. It would allow the Confederacy to save face while giving them the opportunity to gather intelligence. I accept your invitation, Calyx replied. A delegation will prepare to depart. When the transmission ended, Calyx turned to his senior officers, his scales shifting to a deep purple of concern. Analysis, he demanded. Sub-Commander Terrace stepped forward. The human vessel appears to incorporate Confederacy technology, but they've modified it in ways our engineers never considered. Their approach to warfare is unconventional. Unconventional, Calyx repeated. They disabled us without destruction. It was precise, efficient. Most species, when developing military technology, focus on increasing destructive power. The humans instead found a way to neutralize our advantages without escalation. It's concerning. Calyx moved to the viewport, staring at the distant black shape of the human warship. We severely misjudged them, he said quietly. 3 years ago, we destroyed their ship and expected them to cower. Instead, they studied us, learned our weaknesses, and developed countermeasures, all while maintaining complete silence. What will you tell the Council? Terrace asked. Calyx turned, his decision made. The truth. That we have encountered a species unlike any in the Confederacy's history. A species that, despite its youth, may be more dangerous than we initially realized. Admiral Amara Washington stood in Earth's orbital diplomatic center as the Confederacy shuttle docked. Beside her, Dr. Elias Chen, the brother of Commander Maya Chen, waited with barely contained emotion. "Remember why we're here," Washington said quietly. "Maya wouldn't want revenge. She'd want understanding." Elias nodded stiffly. "I know. But they killed her without provocation. They thought we were weak. And now they know better." Washington straightened as the airlock cycled open. "Let's show them who humans really are." Supreme Commander Calix led the small Confederacy delegation into the reception area. His eyes took in the simple but elegant design of the facility, noting with surprise the various accommodations made for different physiologies, including his own species. "Supreme Commander," Washington greeted him formally. "Welcome to Earth space. This is Dr. Elias Chen, our lead xenobiologist and chief science advisor." Calix bowed slightly, recognizing the name. "Chen, you are related to the commander of the vessel we encountered 3 years ago." "Her brother," Elias confirmed, his voice tight but controlled. "I regret the manner of our first contact," Calix said, surprising even himself with the admission. "It was hasty." "It was murder," Elias replied bluntly. Washington raised a hand slightly. "We're here to move forward, not dwell on the past. Supreme Commander, if you'll follow me, I'll show you some of what humanity has accomplished in recent years." The tour was clearly choreographed to impress, and despite his reluctance, Calix found himself increasingly intrigued. The humans had constructed their orbital facilities with remarkable efficiency. Many of their technological solutions were unorthodox but effective, elegant in their simplicity. "Your species adapts quickly," he observed as they entered a laboratory, where scientists were studying what appeared to be Confederacy technology. "It's our greatest strength," Washington confirmed. "Throughout our history, humans have faced countless challenges, natural disasters, wars, plagues. Each time, we've survived by adapting. When you destroyed the Defiant, you gave us the greatest incentive to adapt that we've ever had: existential threat." Calix studied her. Most species, when faced with such power disparity, would surrender or hide. "You chose a third option." "We chose to innovate," Elias said, "to take what we learned from your technology and improve upon it." "Impossible," one of Calix's scientific advisors interjected. "Our technology is the culmination of 12,000 years of development. No species could simply improve it in 3 years." Elias smiled thinly. "We didn't approach it as you would. The Confederacy develops technology through gradual refinement, building on established principles. Humans tend to look at problems from unexpected angles." "When your high-energy beams destroyed the Defiant," Washington added, "we analyzed the scattered radiation patterns. Your weapons are incredibly powerful, but they follow predictable energy distribution curves. We developed shields specifically designed to disperse that energy." The demonstration continued in the military section of the facility, where Calix was shown simulations of human combat strategies. These were unlike anything in Confederacy doctrine: unpredictable, adaptive, sometimes seemingly irrational until their effectiveness became clear. "Your species seems fixated on warfare," Calix observed. "Not fixated," Washington corrected. "Prepared. There's a difference. We hope never to use these capabilities, but we will not be caught unprepared again." The final stop was the command center, where a holographic display showed the solar system and the positions of Earth's defense fleet. The Reckoning was just one of 7 massive vessels, each positioned strategically throughout the system. Smaller ships and defense platforms formed a complex, interlocking security network. "This is what we've built in 3 years," Washington said. "Not because we wanted to, but because you gave us no choice." Calix was silent for a long moment, processing what he had seen. Finally, he spoke. "I will recommend to the Confederacy Council that Earth be recognized as a sovereign power, not a protectorate. Your species has earned that much." "And what will the Council say?" Elias asked skeptically. "They will listen," Calix replied. "The Confederacy has survived for millennia by recognizing the changing nature of the galaxy. You have changed it more in 3 years than most species do in centuries. 6 months later, Ambassador Elias Chen stood before the Confederacy Council on their capital world of Astria Prime. The massive chamber housed representatives from all 17 member species, their diverse forms arranged in concentric circles around the central speaking platform. Members of the Astral Confederacy, Elias began, his voice carrying through the perfect acoustics of the chamber. I stand before you not as a supplicant, but as a representative of Earth, a planet that has demonstrated its right to be heard. High Counselor Vex, the eldest member of the ruling body, leaned forward. We have reviewed Supreme Commander Calix's report of your world's unexpected capabilities. It is most irregular, but the Council has voted to offer Earth Special Associate status within the Confederacy. Not full membership, but autonomy with certain privileges. Elias acknowledged the offer with a slight nod. Earth appreciates the Confederacy's recognition. However, we propose a different arrangement. Earth wishes to establish the Solar Alliance, an independent coalition of systems that will maintain diplomatic relations with the Confederacy while preserving our sovereignty. Murmurs rippled through the assembly. This is unprecedented, Vex said, his tone sharpening. No newly discovered species has ever refused Confederacy association. Perhaps it's time for new precedents, Elias replied calmly. The galaxy is changing. Earth represents just one of those changes. And if we reject this proposal, another counselor called out, then we continue as we are, separate powers maintaining a cautious peace. Earth has no desire for conflict, but we will not compromise our independence. Silence fell over the chamber as the counselors communicated among themselves through their neural networks. Finally, Vex spoke again. The Council will consider Earth's proposal. In the meantime, we extend diplomatic recognition to your world, a remarkable achievement for such a young species. As Elias left the chamber, he thought of his sister Maya. Her sacrifice had not been in vain. The beacon she had sent had given Earth the warning it needed, not just about the Confederacy's technology, but about the dangers that lurked among the stars. Humanity had responded as it always had throughout its turbulent history, by innovating, adapting, and refusing to accept limitations imposed by others. The Reckoning and its sister ships were not just warships. They were statements of human determination. The stars had trembled when Earth's battleship appeared, not because humans sought conquest, but because they had demonstrated something the galaxy had not seen in millennia, a species that would not be subjugated, that could leap forward in great bounds rather than small steps, and that viewed the impossible merely as a challenge yet to be overcome. In the darkness of space, the Reckoning continued its patrol, a sentinel against threats yet unknown. Its very existence was a message to the cosmos. Humanity had arrived, and the galaxy would never be the same.